The war against the absolute worst aspects of aging happens on about a million different fronts. Um, Gray hair, aging skin, death itself, cancer, um, loneliness, yeah, lack of friends. It goes on. But what I want to talk about here today is the psychological front, and that is old guy cynicism. I noticed it in myself, but I noticed it actually more in other guys who are in their 50s. There's this kind of wall of cynicism where, things were always better in the past. Feminism is ruining dating and the stock market is rigged, so I just put my money in the bank. There are all these things that people don't do because they're armed with this cynicism that makes them not do stuff, yeah, and makes them not enjoy stuff. All this constant belief that nothing is real or pure, and I think that is not the way I want to go into my late 50s. So I want to talk about what I think really underlies it. What I think is the number one thing is it's not achy joints or muscle aches or something like that. What it is when you're young, you have this idea that you're going to try a bunch of things, and a good number of them are going to work out, right? And you can't really imagine the pain of failure yet because you haven't experienced it. But when you live your life, you get in your 30s or 40s, early 50s, and statistically, probably more than 9 out of 10 things you tried, relationships, businesses, jobs, guitar, there's a million things you tried, just haven't panned out. Either like with guitar, you just give up, or relationships, they just have an incredible lack of staying power. If you think you're in a relationship that's going to last forever, it's probably not. It's unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. It's so statistically rare. And so, you get out of these things, you give up guitar and you realize, I have no staying power. You muck up a relationship and you think, I have no understanding of the opposite sex. So it's natural to become cynical. And the whole problem is that you start it on the basis of believing that success would happen to you all the time. And I think if there was a class in high school that said 1 out of 10 things, 1 out of 15 things that you try is going to be successful, so just consider the other 14 to be the cost of tuition. Yeah, I think probably people wouldn't become so cynical. They would say, okay, this is the way it's going to be, and then all these somewhere between annoying and painful failures wouldn't faze you so much by the time you hit 55. But that's not the way we think, right? So you get to 55 and you think, I'm a statistical anomaly. I'm more cursed than other people, and that's not true, right? I'm not cursed at all. I've got this fantastic job. I'm in shape. What it means, I'm blessed by the universe to love exercise, so I'm in shape, and I've got nothing to complain about. But somewhere there's a temptation to feel like I've been wronged, that I've gotten the short end of the stick. And that, I think, is a cause for cynicism that can be dealt with easily, just by recognizing it, saying that I did not get the short end of the stick. This is an illusion. And I have got tons of stuff, tons of successes, even if they cost 14 failures to reach. I've got big successes in the future. And I'm going to convince myself of this. And I'm just going to remind myself every day that that's actually reality, and this whinging about my, bad fortune with some things it's just an illusion. The second thing I think is not limited to dudes over 50, but it's this trying to look cool. It's often said that cynicism is sort of an easy way to look wise without actually being wise, and I think there's truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that, and especially when you're over 50, there's this unspoken expectation that you've had all this experience, you've started all these businesses, you've competed in all these events, and you've tried to date these different women. So this should make you wise, right? And sometimes the answer is just no. Like in my own case, no, I'm not especially wise, right? I think it's just because I haven't analyzed my experiences enough. So as a sort of a fake wiseness, I think a lot of my brothers adopt, they feign this cynicism that I don't think they even really feel, but they pretend to say, you don't know anything. I know how crap everything is. So you appear to have some kind of identity, and some kind of accumulated wisdom that you don't have. I mean, the honest answer that a 57-year-old should give is, I don't know. It all happened to me, but I must have been half asleep when it happened because I haven't figured out anything. So I'm sorry, I have nothing. I have nothing to say about your investment in Bitcoin or, the next girlfriend you're going to date, because I don't know anything. And that's when I say it, it doesn't sound so uncool, but I think we don't actually want to be seen that way as somebody who just doesn't know anything. And that's something I'm going to try to consciously develop, is just the capacity to say, I'm not cynical, because cynicism implies that you have some pessimistic guess about the future, and I don't have that either. I don't know what's going to happen. And the last thing I think is that cynicism is kind of disguised fear. There's this common belief that when you get old, you get conservative. I mean, politically conservative. You vote Republican more than Democrat. And I think we also just get conservative with what we're willing to try to do. I'm planning to go to Thailand next month, and I've traveled tons of times in my life. I've flown airplanes a zillion times, but still, there's just the older I get, the more there's this hesitancy to think, what a pain, I got to go through that X-ray machine, and I got to book all these tickets and an Airbnb and bring extra means of paying for stuff. And there's just this temptation to think, I'll just stay home, right? And so this, no one wants to say to themselves, I'm a wimp or I'm scared of traveling or something. So I think cynicism is kind of this defense mechanism against trying new stuff, like against being adventurous. And that's why it's worth getting rid of. I mean, trying to diagnose yourself and perform surgery, to get cynicism out of you is really worth it, because your day is just going to be better if you walk through it the way a 21-year-old walks through life, of just thinking, wow, everything's open to me, and I'm going to date 10,000 hot chicks, and I'm going to have a big adventure in the next 20 years, right? There's actually no reason why that's not true in your mid-50s, right? It's just that we're making it not true for ourselves by letting the cynicism and grumpiness and just general pessimism towards life grip us, And I think what it is fear, fear of trying new stuff, and fear of disappointment, and those things you can get. I think I can get rid of those things, but to do that, I have to honestly say what it is, right? And honestly admit that I'm cynical and grumpy sometimes. I get in an elevator, I'm in a hurry to go somewhere, and if somebody on the second floor stops the elevator so that they can take it down to the first floor, I can feel myself getting annoyed. And that's no way to live life.